And welcome back. Well, New York City has seen a growing number of alarming incidents on the subway, but a recent case is sparking a pretty strong reaction from opposing sides now. After an alleged threat, a passenger takes matters into his own hands, putting a man in a chokehold, resulting in his death. Whit Johnson has the latest, and we do have to warn you that the video is pretty disturbing.
Authorities now investigating this deadly chokehold caught on camera on a New York City subway. Witnesses say Jordan Neely, who is believed to be homeless, was shouting and threatening passengers when a 24-year-old Marine veteran jumps in, placing Neely in a chokehold. The disturbing video of Monday's altercation shows the veteran lying beneath Neely, holding him in a headlock position as the 30-year-old struggles and eventually loses consciousness. Neely was pronounced dead at the hospital, a medical examiner ruling it a homicide by compression to his neck.
Because what people are constantly given is this narrative that homeless people are dangerous, people think that they can take matters into their own hands.
Some protesters gathering Wednesday calling for an arrest. The man who pinned Neely down was questioned and then released, telling investigators he was trying to help his fellow passengers who felt scared and threatened. Neely is recognizable to some in New York City as a Michael Jackson impersonator who frequently danced in Times Square. Records show he'd been arrested more than 40 times on the subway. Mayor Eric Adams urging patience as the DA investigates.
I was a former transit police officer, and I responded to many jobs where you had a passenger assist someone. And so we cannot just blatantly say what a passenger should or should not do in a situation like that. We should allow the investigation to take its course.
Authorities say along with his dozens of prior arrests, Neely also had a documented history of mental health-related issues. The Coalition for the Homeless called this case an absolute travesty. Kira?
All right, Whit, thanks so much. Well, for more on the legal implications, let's bring in ABC News contributor and host of Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmire. So, Brian, today the medical examiner ruled Neely's death a homicide by compression to his neck, but still no charges.
Yeah, so just to make it very clear, a medical examiner will describe a cause or manner of death based on a number of things, whether it's a natural death, suicide, or homicide. Homicide in this setting isn't the same as saying it's murder or manslaughter. Those are for the prosecutors and, to some extent, the police officers to describe. But here, death by another would suggest that this compression to the neck is what killed Neely. And so the only logical question now, at least that I'm asking, is why isn't this person being arrested? Is there some sort of affirmative defense or argument that says that he should not be liable for a killing?
So based on what you know about this situation, do you believe a crime actually occurred here?
Yes, and let me explain it this way. Someone died. Is it a homicide or is it something else? We now have the information that is a homicide, so death at the hands of another. Well, what were the circumstances of this death? To me, it looks like any one of three possibilities. The first one's a stretch. Did this 24-year-old ex-Marine, as being reported, intend to kill Neely and used force? That's murder in the second degree. Did he have a depraved indifference to life and recklessly conducted himself in a way that could have led to a death? That's also murder in the second degree. Did he intend to seriously injure him and then cause a death? Or did he recklessly act and cause a death? Those are different forms of manslaughter. So I see the elements of a crime there. The question then becomes, well, is self-defense being applied? The part where I struggle with seeing if self-defense applies here is that defense is applied when the force is used. I haven't seen the video because it seems to be taken down, but I've only seen bits and pieces. And my major question is, if Neely is passed out and still being held in this chokehold position, and from my understanding of the reporting, he's held there for 50 seconds, what is the imminent danger of death that requires you to keep having your arms around his neck? I don't see it. I can't see a self-defense claim after that initial headlock. So to me, it seems like there should be charges.
So let me take your legal hat off for a second. You wrote a book titled Come Home Safe, and it's about minority children navigating racial inequality. How does this situation sit with you, Brian?
So in part of the book, one of the characters is my hypothetical son, and he is 14 years old. However, like myself and even my son now, we're much larger and look much bigger, and at times our size and our color can be perceived as danger. I think here in the Jordan Neely situation, his status as a homeless person, the words that he used caused him to be perceived as a greater danger than he probably was, or at least people are advocating for him. The unfortunate reality, the connection that I see in my book, is that there are certain people who have to operate not based on who they are or who they perceive themselves to be, but who other people perceive them to be. He is homeless, he is disheveled, he's telling people he's hungry and he's needing water, and he's, by some accounts, making threatening statements. Right now, the perception of people in the subway is that of danger. And I think that's how people reacted to him, not as someone who needed help, but as danger. And I think the difficulty here is understanding the perception of people have of you and how those can lead to deadly consequences. Because while I can talk about this legally, that I think it's a crime, I think morally, this is more of a symptom of how we are dealing with mental health in this city, how we're dealing with violence on the subway. People feel unsafe. People are not getting the resources that they need. And here I think are two people who had a lot of issues in their past, whether the ex-Marine has seen combat and maybe has gone through his own traumatic experiences, and Jordan Neely, who clearly has mental health issues. I think they brought baggage to an interaction that none of them really knew, and they reacted out of fear rather than compassion, humanity, and understanding.
Clearly, because you saw so many people standing around, as one person even just stood there and recorded the whole thing. It's really heartbreaking. Brian, I always appreciate your perspective. Thank you, Brian.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.